for my degree program, I actually attended a computer school somewhere around Bolade Oshodi, the place they used to call it Universal Computer College there. So that, I started developing interest in computing. I was learning about how to use computer and so on and so forth. So it got to a point that my interest now became a passion for me. In fact, it was as if it was divine, because I could do so many things on computers. I could repair computers. I assist a lot of people, with computer-related issues. And those days were not like the kind of scenario we have today, where somebody can just pick up a system with the mouse, you're able to do something. Those days, for you to use a computer set, you have to be intentional about it. What do I mean by being intentional? It means it has to be something that you are ready to do, because you are expected to put in a command to use the computer. So unlike now, you just put on computer, you see graphical interfaces, you move your mouse, you open application, you click, you double click, and so on. Those days, you would have to, there's something they used to call DOS prompt. You are expected to type in a command to tell the computer, I want to open this application, go into this directory. You have to issue that command for the computer to be able to do it those days. So all these skills I had then. So before I knew it, a lot of people got to know me. People would invite me to help them to solve computer-related issues, to do so many things on computing. So that was how I started tilting into the area of IT. And eventually, when after my education, I got a job at that same computer college. That same computer college at Bolade Roundabout, Oshodi, those days. So I got a job there, a part-time job. I would go there, lecture people on how to use word processing application. There wasn't anything like Microsoft Office then. The word processing application we had then was either you use WordStar or use WordPerfect. Then when it comes to design, you use CorelDRAW and PageMaker. So I had proficiencies in all those tools. So I will go in there, teach people, they will give me, as at then it was peanut that I was actually being paid. So I didn't bother, because the passion for me was to impact the knowledge. And so that was how I kept, building myself in this particular area. And those days I used to live somewhere they call Bakbajao, also in Mushin. So as a young chap that was growing up, by the time I'm done with my lectures, I will branch the Oshodi markets. I will buy Gary, I will buy some things, food stuff, and I will have to trek from Bolade roundabout, that's marketplace. I'll trek all the way down to Mushin. By the time I get to Olonshogu bus stop, I will trek down Palm Avenue, to where I was living. I was living at a boys' quarters at then. This was around year 1994. It was around 1994, 1995. So I would trek down. So on a particular day, I had done my usual shopping. I had pepper, I had Gary and some other food stuff. I was just the normal, routine for me. So while I was just trekking down Palm Avenue, all of a sudden, I just saw a signpost. And on that signpost was the name of a computer firm. And I was like, I've always been, passing through this particular area. I never saw this signpost. So I said, okay, what will I do now? It was almost closing time. So I said, let me branch and see what they do there. At least as at then, you hardly find computer firm around, So I went in. When I got to the reception is there. We still get to see, I still saw her recently. And the receptionist was like, yes, what can I do for you? I told her, I said, I wanted to know what you guys are into. And that was why I came. I was carrying my pepper, I was carrying my bag and every other thing. I was at the same, because he was just looking at me that, what would somebody like this be doing in our firm? So she just said, okay, I should just hold on. And she was going to call the MD. She called the MD, and the MD asked her to allow me. I said I had to carry all my stuff into the MD's office. So when I got into the MD's office, this man happened to be a Yoruba man that left Nigeria after the Nigerian Civil War. So he actually went to Sweden after the Civil War. He had his family there, and later on, he came back to Nigeria to come and establish the IT firm. So in the course of our interaction, he asked me why I came. I told him that I actually came to ask about what they were into. And he started explaining to me when they were into computer security. They had a popular product then called Dr. Solomon Antivirus. So they were the sole agents in Nigeria. So then all the big banks on the island were their clients and the rest. So while he was talking with me, he was like, such an intelligent young guy like you, that he has actually been looking for somebody to employ you, that he had seen, in fact, he had interviewed a lot of people. Some will come with 3 master's certificates at the end of the day, no substance, nothing. That would I like, he now asked if I would be interested in working with him. And lo and behold, I was just on a part-time kind of engagement then. I said, okay, sir, I wouldn't mind working with him. He said, am I ready to start today? I said, excuse me, it's late already. And moreover, even if I will have to work with you, I still have to go and resign where I was engaged. So he agreed. And that was how I started working with this man. He's late, he's of blessed memory, Dr. Aderinwale. So, while working with him, he was so fond of me. It was as if, he was so always excited whenever he had me around him. In fact, his family members were so jealous. They felt, this guy must have been using juju on our brother. That why would he just like him? Because I was so diligent in all the things I was doing. And before I could say Jacob, I became the head of the computer department there. A lot of people I met there, they were like, where is this one coming from? Who is he? And lo and behold, I was the highest paid staff then. How much was my salary? It was 3,000 naira. Before I came in, the highest paid then, the accountant was 2,500 monthly. So that was where, in the course of my working with him, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about computing, and I was on fire as at then. But as God will have it, I worked with them for 2 years. And in the course of my job hunting, I had actually applied to work in different companies. So many companies. In fact, the truth of the matter is that as I'm speaking today, I still have the list of the companies I applied to. I have it in my archive. And to God be the glory. The first company I listed on that list was the first company that invited me, and I eventually got employed, which was Chevron Nigeria Limited. This was 2 years after I had applied. I had forgotten everything completely about Chevron. And suddenly, I had left Shogunle, where I used to live, number 10 Araroni Street. I had left Shogunle. I was living at Pakpajao. Suddenly, my grandmom sent a message to me that I had a letter. I said, a letter? Who would have written me? Me, who do I know that will be writing me? So I went, I collected the letter. When I saw the letter, it was invitation for interview. Say Chevron. I had applied 2 years ago now. I thought these people had forgotten about the application. So on that fateful day, we went for the interview, for the test. The test was actually conducted by WAEC. It was actually outsourced to WAEC. So they invited candidates from all over Nigeria for the test. So when I got to the venue, in fact, on that particular day, I came in very late. And it was even written on the invitation letter that we should arrive the venue 1 solid hours before the test for accreditation purposes. Unfortunately, why I came late was the fact that I had, there was a client that actually asked me to come and pick up a LPU that morning. So I was not like, why will I go and attend an interview where there is no hope for me? But this LPU, I'm 100% sure that if I can get this, I will get something from it. So I said, the wise thing for me to do will be for me to wake up very early, try to catch up with the client, then see if I'll still be able to make the test. So I did like that. And as God will have it, when I got to the whole place was filled up. They had completed accreditation, and there was no extra seats. So the invigilator asked me to present my letter. I did. I presented my letter. He told me, said, what did they write here? That you should come 1 hour before. You are coming late. Unfortunately, there's no seat for you. But what I will do is I'm going to vacate my own chair. That is where you are going to sit. So I was actually, I was sitting right in front of all the other candidates. So on that fateful day, we actually had 6 papers at a stretch. We had 6 papers, and lo and behold, after the test, we were all given envelope, oil and gas, the way they do. They gave us envelope. As at then, I was given 600 naira. As at that particular time, 600 was like something else. So those of them that came outside Lagos, some got 4,000 naira for their flights, and so on and so forth. So 2 weeks after, I got another letter. They said, congratulations that I was successful. I said, successful? What happened? They said I should come again for another interview, but this time around, it was actually at the Chevron headquarters. So I went there. On that fateful day, we were just 5. Out of more than 50 people that came for that interview, I met 4 people already seated inside the conference room. So I came in. They had even started before I got there again on that particular day. So the person that was coordinating it happened to be, I later got to know, because he later became my manager. So he told me, he said, you came late and these people already started 15 minutes before you came in. I'm not going to give you additional time. I'm going to stop you exactly the same time that these people would. Me, I didn't even bother, because I was like, in the oil and gas, before they will employ you, if you don't have connection, or if you don't, as at then, I knew nobody, so I wasn't even expectant of anything. I even saw it as a privilege that they invited me to come and write tests at their headquarters. So I sat down, they gave me papers, they gave me writing, because they would ask you never to come into their hall with any writing material. They provide everything. So they provided me with the material. We wrote the first paper. They collected our papers at the same time. Then the second paper, we all started, the 5 of us started at the same time. So by the time our papers were collected, they were now briefing us about the job. And that was when I got to know that it was just a single position that they actually advertised for. Just a single position. So I was shocked. So, but at the same time, I felt, well, I didn't know anybody that among these 4 people, I'm sure they will have their candidates there. So I don't have any problem. Let's finish this thing. Let me collect my usual envelope, take their tea and go. So that was actually my expectation. So there was another woman that came in who happened to be, later became my supervisor. She came in, started briefing us about the job, that it was only a single position, blah, 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 blah. So as she was explaining, the other man was actually marking our script there. I never knew that the results would be announced there and then. So as soon as he finished marking, he just called and said, who is Oyedokun? I was shocked. I wasn't under any form of tension initially, because I must confess, while we were writing that test, you can imagine the environment in Chevron. It was so cold. They had central AC and the rest. The other 4 candidates were sweating inside that room. And I was looking at them, what is going on here? Why are people sweating? And it was simply because of their mindset. Because to me, I wasn't expecting anything, sincerely. So the man called my name. And his score was over 20. He said I got 12 over 20. So I felt, well, 12, fine. We still have other 4 people, definitely we might have other person that will score beyond that. So he called the second person. The second person, I think he got 2 or 1, was a ridiculous mark. He called the third person, it was also under 5 points, making 3 of us. He called the fourth person was not up to 10. That was when tension now started building within me. I now started sweating the same way other people were sweating.
Under AC.
So it was not remaining a single guy. So I was not like, several things ran, I was just having different thoughts. I said, God, it's just, this job is between me and this other person now. What if my points happen to be higher than his? Does it mean that I will not get a job in this company? Several thoughts started coming in. I was sweating profusely. So by the time they announced the result, mine was 12. This guy got 11. This guy was 11. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was not like, what does this imply? Are they going to give me this job? I don't know anybody here. What would happen? A lot of things. So eventually they gave us the envelope. We were served, we got our tea and every other thing. So we left. So I was not like, these people were in Nigeria, you don't trust anybody. By the time I leave now, they will remove my name and put another person's name. So I actually put my mind off it, that I was going to get the job. 2 weeks after, again, they called. They said I needed to come, blah, 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 for medical. They sent a letter to me. I said, medical, what does this mean? I have to show it to my dad. And my dad actually happened to, he's still alive today, but he's having some health challenges now. My dad used to be a trade unionist. And the likes of Franco Kori, Adam Oshiomole, he happened to be their mentor. He mentors them. All those people. While we were growing up, Adam Oshiomole, Kokore, and the rest, they will always be calling and be, coming around discussing about union matter, setting up this, setting up that. So I now showed it to my dad. I said, what does this imply? Being a labor man. He said, if you are being invited for medical, it means the organization is considering you for employment. I said, it's not possible because I don't know anybody there. He said I should just go. So I went for the medical side, I did everything to cut the long story to work there. But unfortunately, when I started, I'm using the word unfortunately because the starting salary that I was offered as at then, because I had already started private practices, so I'd been making a lot of money. I now felt, would they now tie me down because of this money, going by the kind of money that I make out there? So I was now reconsidering the offer. So my mom now said something. She now said, during the course of this process, that who helped me? She asked me that question. I said, nobody. She asked me, who did you know there? I said, nobody. Then it means God might have something for you there. Don't say because you started making money out there, you now think that's where it ends. That there might be something for you there. Because my mom actually worked and retired with Nigeria Airways. So she said, since I had the flexibility that I could still be doing my private practice while I pick up the offer. So I heeded to her advice. I never knew that my going to Chevron was actually God's plan for me to fit into his agenda for me. You remember I mentioned the fact that I had always been having that, that instinct within me that there was a particular thing that I needed to do. So that was how I started work in I think it was 1998. That was how I started 1998 in Chevron. And along the line, it was around 2002, 2003. This same voice that I referred to now started telling me that you have a mission. I was like, what kind of mission do I need to have again? Number one, working with an oil and gas firm is not an easy task. You have to wake up very early in the morning, catch up with the staff boss around maybe after 5 a.m. You know, you catch up with the boss. Although we close early 4:30, by 4:45, the staff boss will start rolling out. And before you know it, you know, you don't get home until past 6. So I was not like, what kind of assignment again now? Like, this one is enough assignment for me. So in 2003, the voice came back again and said, the assignment you have to do, if by 2004 you don't do anything about it, we are going to take it away from you. That was when it's dawned on me. I said, take something away from me. That thing must be something important too. That, okay, you, this voice that has been disturbing me, what is the assignment? I want to know. So it took a while. It wasn't as if it happened in a day. So on a particular day, I just heard the voice. The voice said, organize a workshop. So organize a workshop. So that is because of workshop that this voice had been disturbing me. In fact, if this interview were to be in my office, I would have shown you the printout of the first program we organized in 2004. Wow. So, because I have copies, both in my Lagos and my Abuja office. I have them steady in my drawer. So I was not like, okay, if I organize a workshop, then I'll be free. Because it was as if I was under a particular bondage there. As at then, I had never organized even a town hall meeting or whatever. So I now had to go online. You know, working in an oil and gas firm, we had access to internet as at then. So, and it was Yahoo then. There wasn't anything like Google. So I went on Yahoo. I said, okay, to organize a workshop, what will I need? So I saw a checklist. I needed to book a hall. I needed to, do publicity and so on and so forth. So I took all those things on my own. I was planning. Because I didn't know the genesis of what I was doing. I didn't have any understanding of what I was doing. So there was no way. As at then, there was no way I could explain it to my partner, my wife, as at then. So I was planning, trying to get things done. So on a particular day, my late wife called me. She said, I noticed that you're up to something. I said nothing, because I wouldn't know what to explain to her or how to have my explanation. So I now went back. As at then, I wasn't having that knowledge that I was supposed to have prayed to God, that God, blah, blah, blah. But the only thing I did then was, I said, you, this voice that has been disturbing me, the same way you have decided not to give me rest, go and talk to my wife. So all of a sudden, on a particular day, she just called me. She said, all these things, I noticed your movements, that what are you up to? That she had 50,000 naira to support me. I was shocked. She said, to support what? What do you understand about what I was up to? She just said she had that same kind of, inspiration to support whatever thing that I wanted to do. And that was how I came. I had to come out. I told her, I said, look, even me myself, I don't understand what I'm doing. That I want to organize a workshop, blah, blah, blah. I explained everything to her. So she started supporting me. We had to do a quarter-page advert in Guardian newspaper then, and we invited people to a 2-day workshop at Airport Hotel. So to cut the long story short, we had that, and that was the genesis of how I got to where I am today. Wow. So as soon as we finished the workshop, I sat back on my own and I was like, now I've fulfilled the workshop. That you, this voice, I hope you are going to let me go now. And the voice referred me back. He said, go back to the program of events. The mission is right in front of it. I said, what could be in front of? Something I printed myself. I drafted it, did everything, gave it to the printer to print. So I went back, I looked at it. I saw Records and Information Management Awareness Workshop. That was the title of the program. I still have it here. So I said, what's the meaning of this? I kept reading over and over and over again. And it just put that into my mind, that foundation. Foundation. So I said, Records and Information Management Awareness instead of workshop now, it now became foundation. And that is why if you check the RIMA Foundation website till date, as we speak now, www.rimaw.org, actually was the name of that conference. So I don't say, oh, could it be foundation that this voice wanted me to establish? So that was how we started the RIMA Foundation. The RIMA Foundation started, that was in 2004. And along the line, while we were, I now felt, will it just be this workshop that I'll be doing? At the point, I got that inspiration that we should organize RIMA Award. So RIMA Award actually started in 2005. So we started the award. We said, is that where it's going to end? Before I could say Jack Robinson, we started receiving inquiries from different states in Nigeria, outside Nigeria, different African countries, UK. They now started saying they wanted to join RIMA Foundation. I said, why would you join an NGO? NGO is not a membership-driven organization. I don't know what we're going to do. So at a point, it got to a point, the request was becoming something else. So we now had to establish what we call the RIMA Foundation Knowledge Network in order to allow people to come together to network and discuss and do so many things about information management. So when we started the RFK network, we started having what we refer to as quarterly training program. And even as we speak now, the quarterly training program is still in existence.
Wow.
So we started with the quarterly training program. Every quarter, we would organize, usually free training program. We organize quarterly training program. And people will be coming, even from outside of Lagos, they'll be coming to attend. And I'll be like, this thing, what is happening? What is going on? So in the course of the quarterly training program, we would receive different feedbacks from people, professionals. So a lot of them will be complaining. They'll be saying, I've been an archivist for 20 years, for 15 years. My organization doesn't recognize my profession. I am an health information practitioner. They don't see me as a professional like the accountants, the engineers, and the rest. That what is your foundation doing to help us? And that was how, in 2009, we set up a technical committee to develop a roadmap for the establishment of a professional institute, so that some of the challenges that we have identified will be able to bridge the gap. And that was how IIM came into existence in 2010. And in the course of doing that, along the line also, we also got the inspiration through the RIMA Foundation to also establish in 2018, that is the International University of Information Management in Denver, Colorado. And, when IIM started in 2010, we couldn't really kick off fully until 2013. And, during those periods, I was still in the oil and gas. A lot of times, a lot of my colleagues, they will see me in the newspapers, they will see me on television interview and all this. Some people will be winching me. They will be saying, why are you doing this? You are working, you are earning good salary here. You still want to be earning money out there. And I'll be explaining to them that what I'm doing out there, I'm not earning anything from it. Even because of that, all through my career, they decide not to promote me. My supervisor, they became threatened. My colleagues, a lot of people, they saw me as a threat. But I never bothered. It never affected my relationship with anybody. I was just enjoying what I was doing because God told me that my happiness was not in that organization. That organization was a stepping stone for me. That it only took me there for certain reasons. And because of the fact that I already started, achieving the reason for my going into that place, that I should look outward. If I really want peace of mind, if I want joy, that my stay there, I shouldn't allow whatever thing that anybody did to me to affect me in any way. So, and that was my mindset. Do you know, a colleague of mine once called me. She was related to my supervisor, and she called me. She said, they call me Wole in the oil and gas. If you call me by a particular name, I will know where you knew me from. If you call me Ayo, I will know that you knew me from Ikeja GRA. If you call me Oje, you knew me from Mushin. If you call me Wole, you You knew me from the oil and gas. So she called me, she said, Wole, are you sure it is the same blood that runs within the human being that runs in my own vein too? I said, why did you ask such a question? She said, with all the humiliation, with all the frustration and everything they did, that it will never show on my face, it will never affect my work, it will never affect my relationship with every other person. I was just smiling. I never gave her any answer. I was just smiling because they never knew that the source of my joy was God. And God already told me where my joy was. So I was enjoying what I was doing. I was, spending my money. We would organize records and information management awareness workshop every other year at Sheraton. Sheraton in Lagos, if you go there, even up till now, if you still ask them, if you mention my name or you mention Rima Foundation, they will tell you they know us very, very well because we used to be a very, very good customer of Sheraton. I will spend my money. I will bring expatriates from Europe. I'll bring from America. I'll bring from different places across the globe. Some of them will tell me they will only fly business class. I will fund everything. I'll bring them down to Nigeria, lodge them in an hotel, host a 2-day program in Sheraton, pro bono. I will invite people, do newspaper adverts, ask people to come. People will take buffet on me. So my colleagues will tell me, they say, Father Christmas, you have started this year again. In fact, there's this friend of mine, even we both, he accosted me to a program early this year where I was being given an award. My friend came to my office at Ilupeju. So on my desk, he saw a 4 million naira check. Then he saw a 4 million naira check. So he said, what are you doing this check? This check is for Sheraton. Waste to if I new Jeep me, that was what he said. I just looked at him and I shook my head. He's a pastor today. And anytime I'm sharing this testimony, he will just be laughing. And he'll be telling me that it's only you that could have seen your vision now. There was no way
anybody else could see
it. So that was how we started. The Rima Foundation will organize workshop, dinner, we give awards to people. All of these things I was doing with all my income from the oil and gas, everything I was putting in there. Because one thing I want people to learn from me is the fact that the problem that we have as human beings is the fact that we cannot trust God in his entirety. Most of the time, we always think we have knowledge or we are smart or we always think this is the right way to do things. And I've come to realize that, some things that we might think is right and the right decisions for us to take sometimes might not really be it. God's ways, his ways are not our ways. And, while I was doing all those things, sincerely, I didn't know what I was doing, but I just believed that this God, he will never disappoint me. And I must tell you, sir, till date, I've never regretted my action. I left the oil and gas December 2012. And the only regret I had was that I should have left earlier than the time I left. But my late wife will always tell me that I left as at God's appointed time, that I shouldn't allow that to be a regret to me. And in the course of what I'm doing today, I know that God has used the platform to bless a lot of people. All across the globe. And I wasn't doing it for gratification, because if it were to be about gratification, I'm telling you, we'll have forgotten about this vision and mission a very long time ago. I was doing it because God has put me on a particular path, which I totally and completely agree with him. I plugged into his purpose, and he has been so faithful that every step he asked me to take, I took those steps, and I've never had any regrets in my life. In fact, from what he has shown me, we have only achieved like 5% of the God's plan and purpose for us. Today, IIM could be everywhere in Europe, in America. We have 9 chapters, but that is just about 5% of what God has shown me. And I give him the glory because he has also preserved me. Because I remember when I was in primary school, there was a day I was crossing Ikeja GRA. I was crossing the road. I was at the middle of the road, and something pushed me. I was right at the middle of the express road. Something pushed me. There wasn't anything, nobody around me, but the thing pushed me on the road. And how I escaped it, I can't explain it. And I also shared another testimony during my 50th birthday. There was another incident that happened on my way from Ibadan to Lagos. A trailer came from nowhere to cross the road, and there was a very narrow path. The car I was in, how we got to the other side till tomorrow is still a mystery. I cannot explain it. In fact, if my wife wasn't there, I would still be thinking that maybe it was in a dream. So I believe my existence is not just about me and my family, because I could have decided to stay back, be enjoying in the oil and gas, all the free stuff we get there, all the free allowances we used to get those days, and every other things we enjoyed. I left all those things to plug myself totally into God's will, into God's plan. And I believe because I did that was part of the reasons why God has continued to preserve me. Because he has told me that in as much as you continue to do my work, I will always be there for you. So doing God's work is not only becoming a pastor or a deacon or whatever. I don't have any title in my church. Even my wife, my late wife, and even my wife now would tell me that the way they perceive me, that they even see me to be holier than some pastors that they know. And I've never taken any title in any church or anywhere, but I always try as much as possible to remain in line with his plan and purpose. And he has never disappointed me. That is something I'm proud to say any day, anytime, wherever I go to. He always makes a way for me. There's no how difficult that obstacle could be. I will just look at it and I will smile, because I know that he's always there for me. So that's just my story. I had to shorten it because it's a very long one.
Even in shortening it, I mean, this is very, 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 very inspiring. Very, very inspiring. And of course, one thing that I mean is constant almost throughout your story, even though at a point, I mean, it was just a voice, but now you know him as the voice of God or the voice of the Holy Spirit, and that was constant, you receiving guidance from God, leadings from God, instructions from God. I mean, it's a very big privilege for anyone that God can guide like that. I mean, so it's so inspiring. And you see, there are times you say God is leading me, and then you have nothing to show for it at the end of the day. But we are seeing when you said God was saying, do this, it's obvious now. It's obvious. And like you rightly said, it's not as if you are pursuing. It's not as if you are the one say, I want to be like somebody else. No, you are just doing it as he is instructing you. Yes, the Bible says in Proverbs chapter 14, verse 12, there is a way that seems right to a man. The end thereof leads to destruction. So you were not just trying to say, oh, is this a way? Is that a way? You were allowing him to show you the way, and you were following it, and the way keep opening up. So I pray that you've only done 5%, so we still have 95% to go. All right. So that means that God will bless you with long life. So you will have enough time to do all these things. So before I let you go, I mean, my mind was just going to youth, younger people as you were talking. I mean, the way God took you from when you were young to this point. So what would be your counsel to them? Many of them are struggling, they are hustling, they are trying to see how they can make ends meet. Many of them don't even want to marry until they have made their several millions, So what would be your counsel to them? I mean, of course, using your life as an example for them.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, my counsel to the youth will be for them to identify the purpose of their existence. The truth of the matter is, God never created us for creation purpose. He actually created each and every one of us to come into this world, to come and solve a particular problem. And it's a privilege to hear from God. And I also want to believe that we all have that tendency. We all have equal opportunity before God Almighty. Most of the time, when God talks to us, we always feel it's an imagination. In fact, I've grown into a level that I don't take any thoughts for granted, because sometimes I might be thinking about you now, and suddenly you will call me within seconds. In fact, some of the staff that I work with our organization can attest to that. I might just be thinking about something, and that thing would happen the next minute. So I don't take it for granted. The same thing is applicable to all of us. God is always telling us something. But most of the time, we always feel, oh, this thing is not convenient for me. Because of that, I won't do it. A lot of people call me Father Christmas. Those days, when I take people to Sheraton, those people that are calling me Father Christmas, a good number of them have come to me. They say, I'm planning to retire also from the oil and gas. So please, I need your counsel. I need your advice. So the youth shouldn't allow what they see today. Because in as much as technology is good, it also has its own, negativity, in the sense, when we talk about technology now, there are so many things that, whether you like it or not, you get to see on social media and so on and so forth. They shouldn't allow things around them to influence them. One thing that is required for any individual to be successful in life is focus. We need to maintain focus. Anything or any initiative that one decides to plug into, we need to listen attentively to God. God, why have you created me? Why did you create me? You can pray about it. God, please show me. What is the problem I've been created to come and solve? It might be something that does not make sense to anybody. I remember when we started this information management records and whatever, some people were saying, what are these people even talking about? What is record? Doesn't make sense. It didn't make any sense to anybody. So it might be something that is out of this world, something that a lot of people, in fact, MIT, in 2021, I was named the ambassador, chief country data officer ambassador for Nigeria. And they did not just give me that title. They actually, we had a session, like a panel. They actually set up a panel for me. And this panel had about 5 world-class CEOs of multinationals that interviewed me. And at the end of the interview, one of them gave me a title. He said, you are the godfather of information management in Africa. And I laughed. Why am I saying this? It's because of the fact that as at the time we started this, it never made any sense. But at the end of the day, it's making sense to the entire world. And that is how God operates. God will not come straight and tell you, oh, this is my mission for you. In the case of Abraham, we all saw what happened. He never promised Abraham that sacrifice Isaac, I will give you this. He never said. He wanted to test his faith. And because Abraham was able to totally and completely believe in him, he actually gave the son to him. He wanted him back. So he was ready to give. And look at the way things turned around. And that was what I was referring to earlier on, that we need to totally and completely trust in God. If we're able to do that, we can move mountains. So the youth of nowadays, they even have better opportunities than us. They have better opportunities. What they need to focus on is, what is the essence of their creation? What is that thing that even when they do it and they are not being paid for it, they enjoy doing it? Those are some of the traits. Those are some of the characteristics that they need to look out for. What is that particular thing that anytime you are doing it, you are getting the fulfillment there? I could have decided to say, okay, let me work till I retire in oil and gas. Is it not to build house, to buy a car, to travel abroad? If that was the mission, I'm telling you, I would have been settled all this while. But the essence of creation is not about ourselves, but it's about humanity. It's about being able to affect and influence positively humanity, have an impact on humanity. Because my own definition of success is when I'm gone, what people would say, oh, he created this and this is what we are benefiting. That is when I can say I'm successful. And that is what I'm working towards. It's not until when I buy a car or I build a house. In fact, let me tell you one funny story about myself. I have a car that I've been using for 13 years now.
30 what?
More than over 13 years that I've been, yes. Because it's not a priority to me. There is no car that I would want to buy that God will not buy for me. It's not me that will buy it. If I say, okay, I want to buy next month, I want a car. God, there's nothing, but that is not the focus for me. I told you we're just at 5%. There's a lot of work to be done. I can't say I want to see somewhere and be enjoying life doing it. No, 5%, 95% is still a whole lot of work. So I can't afford to say I want to relax at this point in time. So the youth should remain focused. They should know the plan and purpose of God for their life. What is that problem that they have been created to solve? You know, God will not give you all the ingredients at once. The moment you start up with what he has asked you to do, he will tell you the next thing to do. If you need to acquire skills, you go and acquire the skills. If you need to acquire knowledge about that particular thing, if you need to, try to fraternize with some professionals in that field for you to be able to leverage on whatever knowledge and experience they have gathered, you do all those things. And gradually, you are going to get there. In fact, when we started this information management initiative, sir, you can't call me to come and talk to two people. I will be fidgeting. I can't talk in public. I can't do anything, But over time, God helped me to overcome that. Because he told me, said, the kind of assignment that you have, you will have to stand in front of people to talk. So you can't escape it. So whether you like it or not, it's something you have to learn to live with. And that is just it. So with God, all things are possible. If they can remain focused, if they can identify the purpose, remain focused, determined, endure, because it's not going to come easy. The fact that God has given you an assignment does not mean it's going to go seamlessly. There will be ups and downs. There will be time when you'll be challenged. It is the belief and trust you have in God that will sustain one at that particular point in time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Oyedokun. Thank you so much. Maybe the last question is already after 9, but I need to squeeze you dry before I let you go. I know storms of life always come. Challenges of life will always come. Things you are not expecting in life would always confront us, And of course, we've had you mention it, my late wife. Of course, I don't want you to go into the details of that now, but it has shown us that you've had your own share of life's throwing, those punches at us. So I want you to, using your life, and this is through it all. Through it all is like going from darkness into light, going from pain into gain. All right. So what would be your maybe the nugget you are going to give people? How do we overcome challenges? How do we overcome problems when they come? I know the Bible says that all things will always work together for good. Another version says, our light and momentary afflictions, they are working out for us an eternal weight of glory, you know. But in your own case, how did you face it? How did God help you to get to this point in life? I would really love you to say that, maybe in some 5 minutes, and then I can release you.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Actually, the topic you mentioned, which has to do with my late wife, she was actually a pillar, and it was a very tough period in my life. In fact, a lot of people thought that would be the end of the dream because they had always seen her as a solid pillar. And one thing about her during her lifetime was you will never get to even see her. She's always operating behind the scene, making things happen. And that period was something else. In fact, it's one period that I will never even wish my enemy to experience because it was really tough. It lasted for about 8 months. You know, lasted for about 8 months. It was strange illness. And there was nothing we did not do, prayers, you know, just to make sure that we're able to help her survive it. But as God will have it, we lost her. And that was a very tough period for me. And one thing about devil is that the moment devil sees that you are down, that is when he will be launching attack from left and right in order to make sure that they do the final kill. You know, it was also a period shortly after demise was even at the institute, you know, devil actually raised its ugly head. A group of people came together, you know, they did some funny things. Rather than consoling me around that period, that was when they ganged up. But like the Bible will always say that surely they will gather, but they will scatter, which was exactly what happened. So if you ask me how I was able to survive it, it was still as a result of my strong belief in God. Because I'm somebody that even if you point a gun at me, I will never change believing in God. Because I believe, number one, that my being alive is a privilege. Even for him to have created me, it was a privilege. It could have been somebody else. So for him to have preserved me, why would I have a doubt about what he's able to do? It was a very tough time for me. It was a very difficult time for me. We spent a fortune, and at the end of the day, we lost her. And rather than people around me to come consoling and helping me out, they now gathered what I never even experienced in my life. People came together, you know, to still come and fight. And I was with God. One with God, like they always say, is majority. The way God scattered everything is only God himself that can explain it. So I saw that as a stepping stone. We need to be strong in faith, no matter what we are going through. The moment, in as much as we still have breath, we are alive. That is enough. In fact, it's beyond any obstacle, it's beyond any problem, it's beyond any challenge. The fact that you can still breathe, that is enough. That is telling you something. And that thing is that the fact that you are still alive, you are going to overcome it. So we should not allow any circumstances or any situation, you know, to get us depressed or make us make certain decisions that we regret. If we get to a point that we don't know what to do, just leave everything and drop it right in front of God. God, I rest my case in front of you. Do whatever thing that you think is right for me at this particular point in time, because I don't know the decision I'm to take. You are the God Almighty. You know the beginning from, you know the end from the beginning. So I'm dropping this right in front of you. Help me. Once you do that, forget about it. Go to sleep.
Thank you so much, Dr. Oyedokun. I know we can go on and on and on and on. And then we didn't talk even data at all today or information management. But I know we'll come back, and then that will be more from the professional angle. Then we can talk more about data security, data management, and all those things. But I really appreciate your being on Through It All tonight.
Thank you, sir.
It's made me know you more, and so it will not just be doing hi from afar to ourselves. Now we can be much more closer. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Sir, for the opportunity.
So nice to have
Thank you, everyone.
So everyone, thank you for being part of this. There's one thing I want you to take out of what Dr. Oyedokun had said is the aspect of God, that God factor. That God factor is very, very key in everything that we do. The Bible says, in him we live, in him we move, in him we have our being. And John chapter 15 says that God is the vine tree. We are just branches in that vine tree. And it says we should abide in that tree, and then God will abide in us. It says if we cut ourselves away, if a branch cuts itself away from the tree, it can never become the tree. It says the best thing we do is that it will wither, and they will gather it as firewood. But let's stay with God. Let's stay with him. It says, without me, you can do nothing. That's how the Bible says it. But with God, you can do a lot of things. And of course, it's a big testimony hearing Dr. Oyedokun talk tonight, because the business I do also, after I struggled and banged my head everywhere, suddenly the Lord spoke, and I found myself doing the background screening. And I didn't just, find myself in background screening. God actually pioneered a whole industry through someone like me that has struggled in life. And he said it. He said, I'm going to do something entirely through you in Nigeria. Nobody's doing it. And that was 2001. I said, God, is anything new? 20 years down the line, he brought it to fulfillment. So for anyone that's really been struggling with life, hoping and thinking, so what next do I do? Go to your Creator. He has a blueprint of your life in his hands. The Bible says your life is written in his book. That's what Psalm 139 says. Everything about your life, God has written it. He knows what will happen at different junctions. So instead of you struggling, just go to him and say, so, Father, what is the next thing? And he will tell you that, okay, I'm going to start instructing you. I'll start teaching you. I will lead you in the best pathway for your life. And even me, I'll still be watching over you, guiding you with my eyes. So, or if you are far from God, if you don't know God, God is not figment of imagination. God is not it's not about religion. This is the reality. At a point in time in my life, I was not even interested in anything God. But when I started hearing his voice, just like Dr. Oyedokun said, it turned my life around. All right. So please, the easiest way to reach God, Jesus Christ said, I am the way, I'm the truth, I'm the life. No one gets unto the Father except by me. And that's why the Bible says in that common Bible verse, for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son. Whosoever will believe in him will not die, but have everlasting life. So please just accept Jesus Christ today. So easy, just say, Lord Jesus, I've heard so much about you. And that was what I did December 24, 1984. I just said, Lord Jesus, I've heard so much about you. If you are who people say you are, I open the door of my heart, come in, have your way in my life. And from that day, thank God I did it. All right, so you too do so, and you will enjoy the goodness of God in your life. All right. So Through It All happens every Thursday. I appreciate every one of you that have been here. I'm bringing another guest next week. please just join us with same links that you came in today. The bit.ly link, Collar24 TIA. Please join us, or join us on YouTube. Just go to @Collar_Lubodi, and you can always be part, or you can even check all the past videos. We've done this since 2020 actually, and so you can really get blessed. Adeola, I can see you raising your hands up. Unfortunately, time is gone. Please, can you just type your message? Please just type it, and I will appreciate that. Thanks so much. All right, so once again, if you've not read through it all, visit tia.com.ng, download the soft copy, or just order for the hard copy, and you'll be so blessed reading that book. So till I come your way again next week, if Jesus tarries, stay blessed, stay strong, and keep trusting God. We need him now than ever before. God bless you all. Bye.